Tonight, our special coverage on Israel's war on Palestine, as Palestinian female prisoners are subject to the disturbing policy of starvation in Israeli jails. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Zahra Sayed. Today is the 33rd day of Israel's war on Palestine. In overnight Israeli airstrikes, dozens of Palestinians have lost their lives in Sabra and the Jabalia refugee camp. The Palestinian Ministry of Health says 8 hospitals have been bombed in the last 3 days. 18 hospitals are now out of service. Gaza's largest Al-Shifa hospital is strained due to overcrowding and resource shortages. Israeli raids in the West Bank have killed at least 10 and wounded 16. Israeli authorities have detained Muhammad Baraka, the leader of the High Follow-Up Committee for Arab Citizens in Israel, along with 2 former parliamentarians. They're being held on allegations of organizing demonstrations against Israel's war. The Qasem brigades have reported fighting Israeli forces as they attempt to push further into Gaza City. 1 Israeli soldier has been killed, bringing the total death toll of Israeli soldiers to 35. The Israeli military has retaliated by striking positions in Lebanon following mortar fire from militants in the area. Both Hezbollah and Hamas have allegedly attacked northern Israel. Hezbollah claims it has diverted Israeli focus away from Gaza. A delegation, including the present leader and former chief of Hamas, has traveled to Egypt for discussions with the head of Egypt's General Intelligence Services. As of today, the staggering death toll stands at 10,812. Over 1,400 casualties have occurred in Israel since the onset of the war. In the international arena, the White House says Israel has agreed to implement a 4-hour daily suspension of fighting. This will allow Palestinian civilians in northern Gaza to seek safety. A 3-hour advance notice will be given before the pauses. 2 civilian corridors will be established. A Middle East expert at Rutgers University has criticized the limited scope of the White House's announcement. He says the pauses are insufficient to address the pressing needs in Gaza. He says there is an urgent need for a ceasefire, uninterrupted humanitarian aid, the safe departure of foreigners, and potential diplomatic negotiations. During a recent conference, French President Emmanuel Macron has also called for a ceasefire and a humanitarian pause to protect civilians in Gaza. The Israeli Supreme Court has upheld the police's decision to ban demonstrations in the Arab community against the war in the Gaza Strip. The court ruled that while the right to demonstrate is important, the demonstrations are complex in nature. According to an Israeli newspaper, the petitions were submitted by the Legal Center for Arab Minority Rights in Israel. They were seeking permission for demonstrations to be organized in the Arab majority cities in Israel. The center filed the petition after Israeli police last month suppressed a demonstration in the city of Haifa against the war on Gaza. The court says the police are currently under heavy strain due to the ongoing war and that they would not be able to provide adequate security for the demonstrations. Germany has drastically increased arms exports to Israel. At the same time, it is seeking a peaceful solution to Israel's war at the G7 ministerial meeting in Tokyo. In a significant shift, the German government has exported nearly $323 million worth of military equipment to Israel. This marks a staggering tenfold increase compared to the entire previous year. The approved exports primarily consist of components for air defense and communication systems. Since an attack on Israel by the Palestinian militant group Hamas in October, Germany has processed 185 military permit applications from Israel. The German defense minister has confirmed that Israel has requested munitions for its navy during a NATO meeting last month. More material and military support may be forthcoming, as German officials have pledged to fulfill Israel's requests as they arise. On the other hand, the German foreign minister has advocated for a peaceful solution for the Gaza Strip at the recent G7 meeting. She says there is a need for innovative solutions as to how and by whom Gaza can be managed in the future. She has also discussed the formation of a 2-state solution. She says Gaza must not pose a terror threat to Israel in the future. A lawyer is voicing concern about the mistreatment of Palestinian women prisoners in Israeli jails. During his recent visit, lawyer Hassan Abadi has reported shocking accounts of rape threats, verbal abuse, starvation, and harsh treatment to Palestinian female prisoners. One of these prisoners is Palestinian writer Lama Khater. Khater was arrested during a large-scale arrest campaign in the West Bank following a Hamas attack. Her husband says his wife is subject to abuse in lockup. He says she is threatened against their children and vandalism of their home by Israeli soldiers. Khater is also threatened to be raped by Israeli soldiers. She and other female prisoners are subject to the policy of starvation in jail. More than 2,280 Palestinians have been arrested in the past month. These include 75 women. 65 female prisoners are currently in Israeli jails. The spokesperson of the Palestinian Prisoners Club says this treatment of female prisoners is deteriorating. She says there are no more red lines in their treatment. Turkiye has suspended discussions with Israel regarding energy-related projects until a ceasefire is reached in the Gaza Strip. According to the Turkish Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, discussions with Israel are disrespectful to humanity amid the ongoing violence in Gaza. He says Turkey's sole focus at this time is addressing Gaza's urgent needs for electricity, water, and food. Turkey has already dispatched generators to Gaza. It is also exploring deploying mobile power plants to overcome the electricity crisis in the besieged territory. The minister says Turkey's commitment to supporting Gaza remains unwavering and that energy-related projects can only proceed once the conflict subsides. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has expressed deep concern about the escalating hatred in Canada in connection with Israel's war against Palestine. The news comes as there is a rising tide of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in the country. Trudeau has strongly denounced anti-Semitic and Islamophobic acts and is calling them unacceptable in Canada. He has appealed to Canadians to unite and empathize with each other's pain in these turbulent times. Trudeau says there is a need to end hostilities in Palestine, release Israeli hostages, provide aid, and de-escalate the situation. He says to ensure lasting peace in the region, efforts should be made for a two-state solution. Israel's war on Palestine has sparked widespread protests in Canada. Various political parties, including the Bloc Québécois, are joining the call for an immediate ceasefire. A recent poll by a Muslim advocacy group shows that the majority of Canadians support an immediate ceasefire. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad. Assalamu alaikum.